HFQ EMEA Cancer, WSNY and WSNY HD Columbus. Welcome to the Reasons We Smile with Dr. Kavitko, a show that brings you man-on-the-street interviews, celebrity guests, groundbreaking research, and heartwarming stories about the reasons we smile. Our show is also known as everything you've always wanted to know about dentistry, but were too young to ask. Hello, I'm dentist Dr. Kavitko, and thank you for joining me today. The following views and opinions do not necessarily reflect those of this station, its staff, management, or parent company. To hear a replay of this show or one of the great shows that previously aired, log on to thereasonswesmile.com or iTunes, keyword Dr. Kavitko or The Reasons We Smile. Listeners should not use Dr. Kavitko's comments and advice in place of an actual dental exam. Brighten your life with the stimulation, professional touch. Time now for The Reasons We Smile with Dr. Kavitko. Call 459-9769 to discuss your dental issues. Now, here's your host, Dr. Kavitko. Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Reasons We Smile. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's going to be a beautiful day. It was a beautiful day yesterday, and so we're expecting pretty much the same thing today. Today is episode number 414, and what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about when you have holes in your mouth, meaning when you have missing teeth. What should you do about it? Is it a concern? What are your choices, and how do you decide? And all of the different factors that will help you decide. Before we get on to the topic, though, let me just remind you that if you want to follow me on Twitter, it's at Dr. Kavitko. And please go to my office Facebook page, which is Dr. Kavitko and Associates, and like us. That would be very nice of you to do. And I think you'll enjoy what you see there. We've got some pretty good, we have a revamp, and there's lots of information. And, I don't know, we post some cute things and neat stuff. So go there and see what we're talking about. The other thing is I am in the Clintonville Rotary Club. And as a fundraiser, we have come up with what we call a Win with Rotary calendar. Now what that is a chance to, or it's a calendar, yes, and the way you win is each calendar is numbered, and if you buy a calendar for $20, that three-digit number, you just kind of, you don't enter anything, we just watch the Ohio Lottery evening broadcast where they do the pick three. So if any time during the 366-day 2016 year, that number comes up, you'll get a check. You don't have to pay attention, you'll just get a check. If your number wins more than once, you'll get more than one check. All right? And if you win on certain days, like Super Bowl Sunday, Christmas Day, and that sort of thing, you get a lot of money, like $100, $500. It's a pretty cool thing, and it allows us in Rotary to provide some pretty, nice things that we do for the community, such as movies in the park, and the Christmas tree lighting ceremony, and Duckling Day, and donating dictionaries to every third grader at every school. So it's a lot of neat things, and you can help us by buying one of these calendars. So the way you do it is you can call my office at 262-9588. That's in the 614 area code. So give my office a call, 262-9588, and tell them you'd like to buy a Win with Rotary calendar, all right? Okay, so as I mentioned, today we're going to talk about missing teeth. Now, there are a lot of different things to consider. A lot of people, and a lot of times the topics for these shows come from things that I've discussed with my patients during the week. And so this happens to be a topic that came up a lot this week. So first of all, why should we even worry about missing teeth? What's the problem? If you can chew just fine, I'm chewing just fine, so Dr. Kavitko, why are you asking me or telling me I need something there? Well, the reality is you're not just fine. You might be chewing fine, but you're not chewing properly. Because what happens is the teeth shift. If you take a tooth out, for any reason, it broke, had decay, just got rotten. Anyway, if you take a tooth out, the other teeth shift. The tooth in the front, the tooth in the back, right behind it, the tooth above it if it's a bottom tooth, the tooth below it if it's a top tooth. And so when those teeth start to shift, they no longer touch the way they used to, which means your chewing function, your chewing ability, or I guess how well you chew, diminishes a little bit. You don't notice it. You're not going to notice it. You're either going to start chewing on the other side, or you're going to start swallowing your food in a little bit bigger pieces. than you had been, which can be an issue for your GI system. But the reality is it changes. Now, what's interesting is most people would think of this. Most people would realize that if a bottom tooth is missing, the top tooth that it used to touch will drop down. Why? Because we have gravity. But what you don't know, most people, is if you have a um, top tooth extracted and there's nothing for the bottom tooth to touch when you close, it raises up. It defies gravity. So why is it doing that? We don't have a complete understanding of it, but we do kind of feel that these teeth are aware of the teeth on either side, above and below, and that if you lose a tooth, well, the one in the back starts leaning forward going, hey, where's my buddy? Where's my buddy? And the one in the front starts leaning backwards trying to do the same thing. And so before you know it, you have the space starts to close and the other teeth kind of get narrow in, they kind of close up. And that's not good because as teeth fall over or lean over, the side where it's leaning into becomes a food trap because now it's leaning over. There's a way of getting food in there, but not a great way of getting it out. And so having teeth shift is not good. And think about your teeth as an archway. If you look at an older building where they have the brick arches, and the bricks are basically held in because they're wedged against the next brick and the next brick and the next brick. The downward force of all of those bricks under their own weight in the arch shape causes them to get more snug, and put pressure, and they stay put. Not only do they stay put, they can hold other bricks above them. All right, now if it was just straight across, they'd fall to the floor, right? Or you'd have to have some kind of a piece of steel or something to support them. But when they're in an arch, they support themselves. Well, that's a way of thinking of how important every tooth is to your mouth. So, the fact that you have other teeth to chew with is not a good answer when me or your dentist asks you, hey, what do you want to do here? What do you want to do about this missing tooth? So, keep that in mind because it's a very important thing. It's so funny because I'll tell you probably, a good 5, 6 times a day, maybe more, people say to me, oh, doc, hey, I'm fine. I don't have any issues. Nothing's bothering me. Well, we don't just treat things that are bothering you because, by the way, by the time you're bothered, it's usually pretty involved. It's not just a quick fix. It's not just a filling. If you wait till your tooth hurts, for example, you either need it extracted or you need a root canal. All right? If you wait until your bite bothers you, it's probably too late because now you're going to have bone loss on the side of the tooth that's leaning forward. You're not going to have room to have them uprighted. Everything just gets tougher and tougher and harder to manage. Okay, so anyway, yeah, people will say, well, nothing's bothering me, and I can't tell you how hard it is for me to say, or at least even cut them off and say, you don't know. that's not that's not true. It's not true. Well, and I've started to use this example. Think about this for a second. Especially when people say, hey, nothing's bothering me. I don't think I need any x-rays today. Well, I don't know of a woman who ever goes for their annual mammogram who has pain in their breast. If they were having pain in their breast, they wouldn't wait till the annual mammogram, would they? They would go right away. So when they go for the mammogram, they're pretty much thinking, nothing's wrong, but I owe it to myself and my family to find out and make sure. So don't wait for you to have a sense that something is wrong. Be proactive, and if we think, okay, it's been enough time, it's time to get an x-ray, just let us do it. Or the same thing would go with when you have holes in your teeth, meaning when your smile is starting to change, and your back teeth even starting to change, um, then let us, work with you on that as well. Okay. Now, but it is very important that these spaces be filled in. That's the message I want to hammer home today. We're going to talk about all the different options a little bit later in the show. We're going to talk about implants and bridges and removable partial dentures and space maintainers and why you would do one over the other and when you would do one over the other. But the most important thing is to remember that filling in the space with some type of prosthesis to keep the other teeth from shifting is paramount. Okay? It really is. All right, now, before we pretty soon, maybe in about a minute or two, we're going to do Dr. Kaviko's question of the day. So remember what I just said, because that will help you become the winner, and the winner is going to receive free flowers from Vice Number Florist. So, all right, keep that in mind. All right, now, so one of the first things that you can, I mentioned the four primary ways of closing in spaces, things that you should be thinking about if you're missing a tooth. A space maintainer. All right, if you can't afford any of the other options that I'm going to talk about more, that I just mentioned, I'll give you more details. If you can't afford any of the other options now, but think about it. You might be between jobs, you might have kids in college, you might just feel like, I just can't afford to spend any money on my teeth right now. But I sure would like to be able to get a partial someday, or a bridge someday, or an implant someday. Well, here's what you do. You get a space maintainer. Now, a space maintainer is what it says it is. It's something that does nothing but hold space. It doesn't help you chew, doesn't help you smile, doesn't help you do anything other than keeps those teeth apart, keeps those teeth on either side of the missing tooth from leaning inward and coming together and blocking our ability to fix it up for you later. That's really inexpensive. I can't even remember how much it is exactly. I probably should have figured that out before doing the show today. But I'm thinking we're talking, $300, maybe $300 or $400. Okay, and that's pretty good, especially when you're thinking you're preserving the chance to take care of things when you are able. Okay, kids graduated college, you get a new job, whatever it is, you're gonna one day the day's gonna come around where you're gonna go, oh, I think I want to get that space filled in. Sure, I'm glad Dr. Kavitko put that space maintainer in back in 2015. Okay. So, as I mentioned, we are going to go to we're going to do Dr. Kavitko's question of the day coming up, and remember, the caller with the right answer is going to win free flowers, and it's everybody loves flowers, right? I've never given flowers to somebody that said, "Oh, I don't need those. I don't want those. I hate flowers." So anyway, all right. Before we do the contest, though, we want you to listen to this. Will not be held liable for any contest during
I had an old girlfriend who once told me, "Don't get me flowers."
What
She was
the
like
reason?
21, and she was like, "Because they die." But then a few years later, she changed her tune, and she's like, "You know what? About when she became about 30, when she was like 19, 20, 21, I don't like flowers. They die." I'm like, "What the hell kind of an answer is that?" When she got a little older, she said, "Yes, I like flowers. They look nice and smell nice."
Well, you know what?
Most people like
They're
flowers.
gonna they're gonna die on the if they don't cut them anyway. They're gonna die on the
Exactly.
plant.
They smell nice and they look pretty.
All right, and as I mentioned, the winner's going to receive free flowers from Vice Number Florist. They'll be delivered to your place of business this Tuesday afternoon. And the question of the day is, what should be done to treat an area where you are missing teeth? Is it A, nothing needs done, there are no consequences of having missing teeth, B, extract the rest of the teeth in the area, or C, fill in the space with some type of prosthesis to keep the other teeth from shifting? All right, the number to call, 459-9769. That's 459-9769. So go ahead and call now.
Good morning. Do you have an answer? Okay. Sarah, hang on just a moment. Okay, good old Sarah Applegate.
She's
Good morning. Do you have an answer? If so, what is it? Okay. Have you won the flowers previously? Okay, that's good. What's your first name? Erica? Okay, hang on, Erica. Erica says she hasn't won.
Okay.
Good morning. Do you have an answer? If so, what is it? Okay, what's your first name? Okay, have you won the flowers before? Has it been over 30 days? Okay, thank you. Hold on. Okay, I love it when people try to tell me their life stories and all I want is a short answer. Good morning. Do you have an answer? If so, what is it, please? Hello? Hello? Caller, are you there? Okay, they decided to hang up. Or they let it ring like 5 or 6 times and said, screw that, he should be able to answer all 4 lines at once.
Oh, they probably thought we already had a winner. Sometimes that
Yeah,
happens.
exactly. Sometimes that happens. Sarah, Erica, and Kelly, we'll see if
Sarah, Erica, and Kelly.
Yeah, we'll see if somebody calls back here.
Like what you hear? Why not use the show to promote your product or service by becoming a sponsor? Call 614-262-9588.
Thank you.
That's 614-262-9588. Call now.
Who do you think you'll go with? You have your dice?
What?
You have your dice?
No, I do
Oh.
in the bag. I'll just pick a number.
Who do you think you'll go with? 2? Okay.
All right, we're back. We're doing Dr. Kavitka's question of the day. We had 4 callers on the line. We lost caller number 4, so I don't know if they had to go to church, got disconnected, or whatever. But we're going to go. We have Kelly, Erica, and Sarah, and Erica is the winner today. If you have the right answer, what is your answer, Erica? C. That's right. Very good. Filling in the space with some type of prosthesis to keep the other teeth from shifting, right? Okay. Erica, what do you do for a living? I always ask my callers. Accounting. Okay, you count things. Awesome. Do you know how many teeth do you have? Have you counted them? Okay, I'm just playing with you. But when we hang up, she's going to the mirror right now. Anyway, hey, stay on the line because we have to get the information as to where the flowers can be delivered from Vicember. And Sarah and Kelly and caller number 4, go ahead and call back next Sunday, all right? Okay, so again, Erica, stay on the line and congratulations. All right, so let's talk about the kinds of things I mentioned. Space maintainer, and that does nothing but maintain a space, but it's a very important thing. But the other thing, and I'm going to go in order of cost, okay? Let's go in order of least expensive way of filling in a void. The least expensive is besides the space maintainer, is a removable partial denture. Now, removable partial dentures, and by the way, I got to tell you this because people misunderstand this very much so. A removable partial denture has to go on both sides of your arch. Okay, it has to be a horseshoe shape. It can't be just a little device that just clicks into where you're missing one tooth. That's dangerous. They used to make those appliances, and I guess some people choked on them. I don't know if they were deaths or not, but because if they pop free, they're so small that you could choke on them. No one makes those anymore, or basically should not make those if somebody is. All right, so that's a downside, right? Because you only have one missing tooth, but now you have to have this whole horseshoe-shaped thing. And the other thing about the horseshoe is that it has to click on to about, well, 4 teeth would be nice. 2 in the back, 2 in the front. To have it nice and stable. So what does that mean? That means that there are going to be metal clasps showing, most likely showing, especially on the more forward tooth. Not always. If it's way in the back, it may not show, but just keep in mind that these things can be unsightly. But they are relatively inexpensive. They're about $1,800 or something each. I know that sounds expensive, but it's really not these days when you consider what everything else costs. Okay, and it can be a problem if it's one of your front teeth, or if it's a couple of the teeth right over on the side behind your pointed one. That's going to show, or it could potentially show. All right. So partial dentures, they come in at night. They come out at night. You put them in the morning. You wear them during the day. You do chew with them and all that, but they're not very cosmetic. All right. But you can think of them as a very nice placeholder for something down the road, like what we're going to talk about soon here, which would be a fixed bridge, and then later we'll talk about filling in the spaces with implants. All right. So think of them as, if you don't have a lot of money right now, between jobs, maybe you don't have dental insurance yet, or you do but you've used it up, well, then you could get a removable partial denture to fill in where you're missing teeth. And by the way, a removable partial denture will fill in as many teeth as you're missing for the same price that I gave you. So if you're missing one tooth, it's $1,800. If you're missing 7 teeth, it's the same. So that's kind of cool about that particular option. Okay, so let's see here, my producer is talking to the winner, so we'll probably go on to the next thing. And I know what I want to talk about. Okay, now I mentioned how they can be unsightly, but you can also have a removable partial denture that's not unsightly. So now we're going up in price a little bit. And how do we do that? We put hidden clips. To do a hidden clip, we have to put a crown or a cap on one of the teeth, or the most forward teeth, that are going to hold this partial. So if we can take, let's say it's your upper eye teeth, and that's the last tooth you have. You only have the upper front 6. Well, a partial with clips would not be very cosmetic, would it? But if we put a cap on those 2 corner teeth, and the caps had little hidden rings, and then the partial had these little snaps that go into those rings, well then nobody knows you have a partial, and you can still get it for a little bit less expensive than, say, bridge work or implants. And so it's called ERA attachments or CECA, C-E-K-A attachments. But you do have to pay for a couple crowns that you would not have had to pay for, and you have to pay for those little snaps that are a little bit more. So that might, of a partial, that might potentially double the cost of having a partial, but it's so much better as far as appearance. Okay, so we've covered the Space Maintainer. We have covered removable partials, the traditional kind, and a removable partial that has hidden clips, and it's really cool. I should have put some pictures up on the video stream. And by the way, if you want to listen to the podcast at any point, you can go to thereasonswesmile.com, and you can watch any show we've done for eons. I think it's been over a year now that we have been doing the video version, and before that it would just be audio. Okay, now it looks like it's time for us to go to a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about bridge work, what it is and why you would want to use it over the other choices, and implants, what they are and why you would want to use them over the other choices. All right, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned for more Dr. Kavitko.
Here at Dr. Kavitko Associates, we are intensely dedicated to providing the absolute best dental care. The word
I know other people at AEP have won before. Maybe she's one of the ones that coworker said, "Hey, those are nice flowers. Where'd you get those?"
I thought that at first till I saw her last name. That last name, she has one.
No, people lie. No, I've never won before.
I'd have to look for sure.
And I believe what people tell me,
Oh no, I do
usually
too. It's okay.
over the phone.
It's okay. You know what? I'm happy the phone rings and our listeners don't know it's the same people winning. They just hear people call. And if
Yeah,
I mix
they
it
just
up
hear
enough,
someone, and yeah, you mix it up enough, they hear different voices.
different names and stuff. And so next week,
Sometimes somebody like Sarah, because she's been winning from the station so often, and you know, Sarah's mother, Sarah's in her 30s. Sarah's mother comes in here. Every time she comes in, she gives Susan House the "Woe is me" speech. Woe is me! Oh, look, I have to take care of my daughter, and look, no one else in the world has the problems and issues and trials and tribulations that I've had. Oh, shut up. I mean, I haven't. No, I don't have a child like that with a disability to take care of. I don't, but plenty of other people do. Millions of other people around the world do, lady. So shut up. You're not special. Susan just kind of lets it go in one ear and out the other. And Okay, see you later. Thanks. Sign here. Here's your prize. Bye.
All right, we're back. I'm Dr. Kavitko. This is The Reasons We Smile. We are talking about what to do about holes in your head, missing teeth, holes in your mouth, where you've had a tooth extracted for some reason or another, and the fact that it is very important to get that space filled in. And we're talking about ways of doing that. And we mentioned the least expensive would be a Space Maintainer for now, so you can afford a real replacement. The next would be removable partials, both traditional and the kind that hide the clips. And now we're going to talk about bridge work. Because I'll have to tell you, a lot of people refer to those removable partial dentures, the kind that come out at night, they call it their bridge. And it's not. It's not a bridge. A bridge is where you take the teeth on either side of the missing tooth, we grind it down so that it's going to be able to accept a crown. But what you do, what our lab does, is when we have these crowns made, when they cast it, they cast a fake one in the middle. So there's this fake one. You know, you've got one here, and then the one in the middle is bridged, and then porcelain is baked on, so it looks like you're not missing a tooth. Now, the downside of a bridge is you can't floss between the teeth where it's hooked together. You have to floss under it using a floss threader. Okay, that's not terrible. People do it all the time. The positive side of a bridge is it doesn't come out at night. You don't have to worry about it. You just leave it. It's there. It's there. Okay. So bridges are pretty cool, and they look really nice. They look very natural. They really do. And it was the state of the art for a lot of years. I will say that the state of the art, maybe back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s was removable partial. So we kind of think of that as something that maybe our parents or grandparents wore, more like grandparents, I'm thinking now. But then bridge work came around, and the reason bridge work became so popular, especially in, say, the 70s and 80s, is because we had new porcelain possibilities. So years ago, when somebody had a bridge, there was no way of putting tooth-colored material there. So they would take and just kind of frame the tooth, and you would see this gold outline, and the middle part was left untouched, and that was the tooth, so that it could at least look somewhat like a tooth. But the middle tooth, where there was the fake one, it too kind of had to have gold around it. But then when we got the porcelains that we use today, it became really, really so much better. Now, that is still old technology, and our porcelains have gotten so much better that now we can do bridge work using zirconia that you can't even tell. But remember what I said, though, about the bridge being where you grind down the teeth on either side? Well, what if those teeth are perfectly healthy? What if there's nothing wrong with them? Do you really want to grind those down? So that's leading me to the next phase, or the next option, which I consider the best, and I think most dentists do. And I'll tell you what, patients that have had them, they consider them the best too, and that is dental implants. Now, I place implants in my office, and I also make the crowns that go over them, and I have a really cool system. About 5% of the dentists nationwide have the system. It's called CEREC, all capital letters, CEREC. And what that is it's a milling machine. It's an acquisition unit with a computer guided thing, and it allows us to mill the crowns right there. So when I place an implant for a patient and I do the crown, I do every step myself. I don't even send it to the lab. So we know that it hasn't been sent offshore, hasn't been sent to China or Mexico to be made, right? So, and people love watching it. So now keep in mind, remember how I said space maintainer to hold the space? Well, let me go back. Let's go one step better. If you are about to have a tooth extracted, or even if you're not, but if you have a tooth extracted between today's show and you've listened to this, and a year from now, or 3 years from now, or whatever, don't have the tooth extracted unless you have the dentist also do a socket graft. Put bone particles down in that hole, cover it with collagen, stitch it up, let it heal, because that is going to allow for the bone to be high enough that we can actually have room for implants later. Okay, so you're kind of like, just like we said, a partial is a placeholder. Well, this bone grafting will be a placeholder for you to be able to have an implant someday. You definitely want to make sure that you have enough bone to place the implant, even if you're not going to do the implant right away. Get the bone grafting, okay? Because that gives you the opportunity. If you don't do that, it's an uphill battle to be able to have an implant down the road. Okay, so an implant, when I mentioned the cost, remember I said $1,800 for a partial? A bridge for a 3-tooth bridge, that'd be something more like about $3,800 to $4,000. Okay, see, price is going up. But, and an implant, by the way, if you're just replacing one tooth with an implant, it's actually about $300 cheaper to have the implant placed and leave the good teeth on either side alone than it is to have that bridge. And what's neat about an implant is you can floss between it. It's an individual, standalone thing. It's not dependent on the teeth on either side. All right, isn't that cool? So if you can, go for the implants, and don't forget how important it is to actually even fill in the space. It's very, very important. All right. Okay, so turns out that's all the time we have. Don't forget to call my office at 262-9588 in the 614 area code and order your Win with Rotary calendar. It's a really cool thing. You'll win some money, probably. Can't promise you that. Next week. Now, by the way, we were supposed to have a show about Children's Hospital Dental Clinic this week. I had some technical difficulties with my editing software, so we're going to do that next week. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Dr. Kvitko and visit my office Facebook page, Dr. Kvitko and Associates, and like us. And be sure to join me next Sunday and every Sunday morning right here on your favorite station. Goodbye.
So the Children's Hospital recording next
What's
week.
that?
Cool. Children's Hospital
Yeah.
recording next week. You'll be emailing me some segments.
Yes.
Because I'll be here unless Kelly wants to do it.
And I think I finished about 10 seconds early. Let's see how I did. Make up for being late.
Yeah. Yeah, last week you were late.
Yeah.
So Chris said make sure he ends 10 seconds early this week.
No, he didn't.
He didn't say that. I'm just kidding.
If you'd like Dr. Kvitko, the world's most interesting dentist, to speak at your next event, please call 614-262-9588.
424-262-9588 or send an email to speaking@thereasonswesmile.com. WSNY